Good evening. Welcome to my research proposal presentation titled The 4 Ps and Tender Success at Company X. Company X is an environmental remediation specialist. They undertake site remediation, contaminant removal and treatment, and transport and disposal of wastes. The company is a medium-sized company with a revenue stream of $30 million and employs around 50 staff, and has offices across Australia in Sydney, the Gold Coast, Hobart, Canberra and Darwin. My name is Brendan Smith and I'm a project manager and I'm in charge of project delivery within the remediation portfolio. The research problem that we will be investigating is a significant problem. Upon reviewing figures across the past 3 years, it's been revealed that Company X only has a success rate of approximately 33% for tenders submitted. This table illustrates that, showing tenders won, tenders submitted across time. It's a significant problem because if we're able to reverse that trend, we'd likely see a higher revenue stream and would likely ultimately increase the value of the company. The research problem has a couple factors. The main factor being investigated is the relevance of the 4 Ps and their impact on tender success. Additionally, there's been a fair bit of anecdotal evidence presented by staff and customers to suggest that green solutions may also have an impact on competitiveness, company reputation, and may reduce costs. The research aim is to undertake marketing research to identify how the 4 Ps, the independent variables of price, promotion, product and place, impact on tender strike rate at Company X, and accordingly make appropriate recommendations to Company X on possible adjustments to price, promotion, product and place, and is also to determine whether the adoption of green remediation techniques would have any impact on these variables, and in doing so make recommendations to Company X on the possible adoption of remediation techniques. We just have a little visualization here to show how the 4 Ps impact on tender strike rate and to illustrate how we'd like to investigate whether this options, green options, environmentally friendly options may impact on any of these independent variables. The literature review is quite comprehensive and it focuses on 3 areas: the marketing mix, which is the 4 Ps, the validity of green remediation techniques or alternate techniques to the traditional techniques, and the emergence of green solutions as a factor in competitiveness and product selection. So the literature is quite comprehensive when it comes to the 4 Ps. They are regarded as a focal point of marketing strategies, and they're regarded as an avenue to give the best opportunity to develop a competitive edge. Price consists of 3 components: cost-based price, competition-based price, and demand price. Product relates to the quality and performance and the manner in which that meets the needs of the customer and generates customer satisfaction. Promotion focuses on building a favorable image in the mind of the customer. And the place is the means and methods through which the products are distributed. And all of these factors relate to creating competitive advantage within the marketplace. The alternative methods in remediation, the research is also quite conclusive and quite comprehensive. and it illustrates that current or traditional remediation methods are considered to be quite cost prohibitive, and they're a barrier to remediating a lot of sites. And traditional methods are considered to be far worse for the environment and more costly in general than bioremediation methods. The emergence of green solutions is supported by the research as well, with one study indicating that 76% of companies believe that environmentally friendly practices are very important. The Australian Green Buildings Council indicates that there's substantial savings that can be made by adopting green solutions, which may create higher returns and a competitive advantage in the marketplace. And there's quite a bit of literature that suggests that there's an increasing demand for green alternatives across a variety of industries. And there's also a significant amount of research that illustrates the effectiveness of these alternate green solutions, that they are proven and that they're cost effective and that they provide a different set of benefits in the environmental, social and economic areas. The dependent variable that we're focusing on, the problem that we're trying to solve, is the tender strike rate. The independent variables have been identified as the 4 Ps: product, price and promotion. They all impact on the dependent variable of tender success rate. And if we take our research question into the green realm, we can see from the evidence that environmentally friendly alternatives have the potential to lower cost, which could impact on the independent variables of price and product. And there's an increasing demand for environmentally friendly alternatives, which may impact on promotion and product. So there is potential there, as evidenced in the research, to have positive impacts on our independent variables, which in turn may have positive impacts on our research problem, which is why we are investigating this. And this is summarised in our conceptual map. As you can see on the right, we have our tender strike rate, which is our dependent variable, the 4 independent variables, the 4 Ps, and an indication of how green options may have positive impacts on some of those variables and the flow-on effect. So in formulating the research question, we had to look at our research problem, we had to narrow our scope, and we had to focus on our research aim. And the study aims to undertake market research to investigate the appropriateness of company X's price, promotion, place and product. It also seeks to understand consumer sentiment towards environmentally friendly remediation techniques to determine if they may provide a competitive advantage for company X. Reflecting on this, we've developed 2 research questions. Firstly, how do the 4 Ps impact on the tender success rate at company X? And would the adoption of green remediation techniques have an impact on competitiveness? The adoption of green remediation techniques. The research project will take the form of a quantitative study for the following reasons. The research questions seek to examine the factors or variables that impact on tender success. So focusing on factors and variables. The literature is quite comprehensive. There's no gap in the knowledge, and the sample size will be greater than 100. In designing the research, we've adopted a table from the Quinlan text, which helped us put things together. So we started off by defining the target population, which would be the customers of company X. We selected a sample frame, and in line with the data that we displayed earlier, we've gone with all buyers that requested tenders from company X in the past 3 years. We're using a probability sampling method. The procedure for selecting sampling units will be to use individual surveys. The sampling units will be the individual surveys. The sampling size will be about 100 participants, and the actual sampling units will be the project team members from client organisations, hopefully 5 members from each project team from 20 companies. And by focusing on the population as a whole, that is the customers of the company X, the proposed sample is perfectly relevant to the problem because the customers are the best people to provide that feedback. Further on that, the study will be accessing a contact database to send descriptive surveys via SurveyMonkey. In doing so, we're reflecting the entire population, and the sampling units will be selected in a systematic manner and will combine results from all surveys. The research will feature demographic questions focusing on age, education, and roles within the companies. And the research questions themselves, without getting into too much detail, are essentially divided up. The first 4 questions focus on the 4 Ps, 1 P per question, and the following 4 questions focus on environmental practices and their perception within the market, the consumer sentiment towards environmental practices. We've taken into consideration the ethics of the survey, and we address ethical concerns through anonymity by using SurveyMonkey. The demographic questions are generalised so as not to indicate individuals. The raw data will not be shared. There is a non-disclosure policy, and participation will be voluntary, and consent can be withdrawn at any time. Thank you very much for listening to my research proposal presentation. Thank you.